You know, I've been waiting 8 years to tear this thing to shreds. But the thing is, unlike most bad movies where it leaves me angry, furious, this one I just feel sad. Because it could have been something great, but they didn't even bother to try. So, let's get this over with. Then I never have to talk about it again. Welcome to the worst movie of this franchise by a very considerable margin. And welcome to one of my most negative but very underspoken reviews. Because instead of getting all mad and angry and rage baity, it's just not worth raising anger over. This is basically just me sharing my thoughts and then forgetting it even exists. If you want a more in-depth review of this, go watch Doug Walker's review about it. He does it way better than I ever could. So please go watch that review. As for the rest of you, welcome back to Animation Station. Welcome to our continuous look through of the Ghostbusters franchise. We have reached the halfway point, and it is the bottom of the barrel. Let's talk about Ghostbusters 2016. Here's my written review. Hope you enjoy. Let me make something very clear. The Ghostbusters being female is not the problem. In fact, I'm all for it as it can create interesting new team dynamics and add a lot of diversity to the roster, which in turn can help the franchise branch out to newer audiences. Not to mention, in the cartoons, from what my research has told me, there was female Ghostbusters in the cast, and they were some of the best characters of those shows. So please keep this in mind before you start calling me sexist or whatever else, because that couldn't be further from the truth. I have nothing but respect for women. Heck, I've stated numerous times before some of the best people I've ever met are women, and a lot of my friends are females. So I'm as far from that definition as humanly possible. So don't call me a man-child, don't call me a sexist hater, because that couldn't be further from the truth. The gender is not the problem with this movie, and I was far more open to this back in 2016 than the rest of the internet was. No, the real problem with this movie is simply the execution, which was horribly botched and screams desperate cash grab by corporate. Pros: cool new gadgets, an interesting new concept. I really like the concept of female Ghostbusters. Just a shame it got ruined with this movie. Some cool scenes that feel uniquely its own. Whenever it tries to be its own thing, it actually does become halfway decent. Fascinating dynamic action. Like, let's be honest, guys. The original Ghostbusters movie was just 4 guys standing around pointing a stick. Here you get, like, flips and parkour and all kinds of other wild stuff, so I'll give them some credit. The action is better than the original. But that's the only thing it does better than the original. Pretty decent effects. They're nowhere near the effects of the original movie, but they're not bad. They're actually pretty decent effects. I will give them that. Like, this franchise's one consistent thing is that it has good effects. That's it. Solid directing. I mean, this is the last movie Paul Feig directed before pretty much retiring. And while I don't like the direction that he went in, he handled the camera and other stuff decently well, so props there. Slimer being Slimer, Slimer's the best part of the movie. Without spoiling it, you will know why if you decide to sit through this. And a handful of moments that are legitimately funny, but then immediately ruined by something that isn't funny. As Doug Walker pointed out in his review, funny joke has to be ruined by unfunny joke. Now for the cons, which is everything else. Literally everything else. Acting is poor from a cast of talented people who should know better. Writing is absolutely lifeless. The story is boring. The execution of said concept was absolutely abysmal. Blatant, prevalent nostalgia bait that has no purpose outside of trying to sucker in the people that are attached to the original movie. In other words, it comes off as insulting rather than celebratory. Laughably stupid villains, jokes that are so cringy and unbelievably unfunny that it can cause spines to crack from cringing too hard. I mean, the queef joke. That's all I need to say, the queef joke. The new suits that make them look like walking traffic cones half the time. And the unforgivably terrible music. Especially the butchering of the iconic theme song. I mean, it's Fall Out Boy. They should have known better. But instead, they absolutely ruin the original theme song in every single way, and then invite Missy Elliott on just for a quick paycheck. It sounds just as awful as you think it would, if not even worse. One of the worst butcherings of a theme song I've ever heard in my life. Overall, this is undeniably the worst movie of the Ghostbusters series. Instead of making me angry like most bad movies do, instead it just makes me feel empty and sad. This could have been something great and really breathed new life into this series, but instead they didn't even bother to try. A female-led Ghostbusters movie still has a lot of potential, and I want it to be reattempted by people that actually know what the hell they're doing. But after this disaster, it's unlikely it'll ever be attempted again, which is the saddest part of this entire situation. That pretty much sums it all up right there. Thanks a lot, corporate. You ruined another franchise yet again with your bullshit. Final verdict for Ghostbusters 2016 is a sad, but unfortunately very well deserved 2 out of 10. It is not an average movie, it is a piece of crap. A corporate cash grab that ruined a truly amazing concept and sullied the good name of this franchise. Avoid it like the plague. Even if you are the morbidly curious type, do not bother. It is unfunny, it is cringy, it is annoying, it is relentlessly stupid, and it's just sad. A sad cash grab from a corporation desperate to try and get more money out of their IP. That's all it is. It is a soulless cash grab with no passion and no effort. Look, I know that my takes on these movies have been controversial, but I hope that this is the one take everyone can actually agree with. I don't know. What do I know, right? I'm just some guy on the internet. Maybe I'm part of a majority, maybe I'm part of a minority, maybe I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't know. The only thing I do know, aside from my chin getting tangled, excuse me, is that I hated this movie. And I hated what it did to the franchise. And I hated that it took such a cool concept of female Ghostbusters and ruined it. I mean, sure, only from here we can go up, right? Because I've heard Afterlife is pretty good. And Frozen Empire, my expectations are in the middle, so maybe it'll be okay. But we'll have to wait and see. But that's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want more videos like this almost every single day. Stay tuned because the episode 3 review of X-Men 97 is coming up next. That's going to be a much more positive review. Trust me, that episode is freaking amazing. I can't wait to talk about it. And as for the rest of you, see you next time for Ghostbusters Afterlife. Hopefully it's at least okay. See you then.